chapter in which we saw Dr. Lee move ahead with the ambitious ImageNet project from her new academic perch at Princeton. She was inspired by the idea that having all of this labeled and organized data would matter. And so she dove headlong into the project to organize and label a very large number of images. This was indeed a huge project. It involved writing custom code to download images from Google Image Search. It involved hiring a small army of people from Mechanical Turk to assign the labels to the images. Ultimately, she wound up with 22,000 different categories of image, each of which had many images in them, each of them hand labeled. And all of this was done in service to a particular hypothesis, which is the idea that having all of these labeled images would actually be useful and would lead to genuinely new techniques. In other words, it wasn't just the algorithm, it was having the available data. And so for me, this was a really interesting chapter because I related to some of the specific anecdotes in it. For one thing, the structure of ImageNet was largely inspired by WordNet, and I spent an awful lot of time as a graduate student working with WordNet. Some of that time I spent actually working on a project with John McCarthy, who was mentioned near the end of the chapter. And there are two specific elements I really wanted to bring out. One is the notion is that there was something like an AI winter, and I can tell you from personal experience that was indeed true. I remember a conversation with a grad student in statistics when I was a young AI grad student who really revealed that he thought AI was the kind of thing that was done by mad scientists in the basement, and it would rightfully give way to rigorous statistical techniques. You know, its time was kind of done. That was clearly the case. The other thing I thought was worth pointing out, something that, for example, John McCarthy did, was really focus on theory and algorithms as opposed to data. That was the knee-jerk reaction. Everyone did that. Nobody thought if we had enough data, we'd be done. You know, it was all about getting the right algorithm and having the right theory in place. It's fair now to say both of these things have changed. The excitement about AI has clearly returned. And in retrospect, we can say that, you know, data matters a huge amount. And that brings me to what I think is the most surprising thing about the chapter, of course, which is that she was given a poster session. At the time, that made sense because we thought the data was along for the ride. Today, we think it's pretty much in the driver's seat.